Public hearing, call to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Quinn.
Here.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Gann.
Here.
Councilman Hatmaker. Councilwoman Manis. Here. Mayor Burke.
Here. Public hearing this evening is for ordinance number 690. This is for the fiscal year 2004-2005 budget.
24.
2024-25 budget, what did I say, 2004? Well, that's a big budget, isn't it? Anyone here like to speak on that? Motion to adjourn public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Public hearing's adjourned. Regular meeting call to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Quinn.
Here.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Gann.
Here.
Councilman Hatmaker. Councilwoman Manis. Here. Mayor Burke.
Here. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Prayer this evening be given by Vice Mayor Gann. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Our Father, we thank Thee for the blessings that You give us every day. We know that we're so undeserving. We live in a fantastic place, and You bless us with everything that we could ask for at times. Be with us in all we endeavor to do as we conduct this meeting. Help us to be mindful of the citizens of Clinton and what is best for our area, what is best for our community. Help us to make wise decisions, and we always hope that we're guided by Your judgment and Your discretion and wisdom. Be with us now as we conduct Your business. Be with those that need Your care. For in Thy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Larry. Do I hear a motion for the review and approval of minutes of the previous meeting dated May 28, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we'll recognize visitors and citizens with any grievances from the citizens or praises. Jerry, this is the time you get up. Hey, I can't be around you all the time. You help me out a little bit. State your name and address, please.
Jerry Graham, 1125 Mountain Hill Circle, South Clinton. Oh, can I go?
Yeah. Please.
Well, I guess this is for Mr. Houck. I was looking at ways to make Ridgeview safer and the intersections at Unaka and Mountain Hill. I don't know if we can do four-way stop signs there. I know there'll be a lot of people probably pretty mad, but I'll take the blame for it if it passes. Somehow we can get that done. Have you looked at ways to maybe improve the safety of Ridgeview?
The mayor told me about it. I was out of town last week, but he told me about it over the weekend, Jerry, and I haven't had time to look at it. We had a traffic engineering study done 12 weeks ago, around that time frame, and I'm not sure. It had several improvements, and I know Public Works has done most, if not several of the ones they did. I'll just have to refer that back to our traffic engineers. One thing we have to for a liability purpose, we have to kind of rely on their recommendations on any safety improvements or any changes to the roadways. Definitely something we can refer the question back to them and have them look at it and see what else, if anything else can be done there. I know it's not a good place to pull out. I usually avoid it. I usually try to go Fowler and go out that way. But it's just one of those inherited roads that we got when the city annexed it. But we'll definitely talk back to our traffic engineers.
Right. Last week, Melinda, my better half, I was pulling out to go home on Ridgeview, and there is that mirror there, but if you're in a car, you sit low, and there was a truck. I mean, he was speeding. He about got me.
Well, that's one thing I asked Mayor when he told me, because Councilperson Manis would call me about a month ago, that during one of the storms, the mirror had actually failed.
Yeah.
And when Public Works went over there, somebody took the mirror part of it, so it was gone, so we had to order a new one, but they did say it got put up. Maybe we can have Dwayne them look at it too and see if it maybe needs adjusted a little more. I'm just, as one,
It's kind of hard to see through it.
It's,
Is the mirror not high enough, or?
it's where it was. I mean, it's dangerous right there. I mean, when you pull out, if you're in a truck, if you're up higher, you can see traffic coming. But also the hill right there at, Milton Hill and Ridgeview. 3 years ago, my daughter had a wreck there pulling out. I almost got hit last week. But I don't know if it's something that y'all can look at.
we'll
Is
review
speed
the
humps-
traffic study and kind of
Yeah,
refer
do it.
your
It's-
concerns back to them, see if there's anything else we
Gotcha.
could do. By all
Okay.
means.
Do you need that?
And did we lower the speed limit on Ridgeview?
I don't think that was their recommendation, but once again, I'll have to go back and look.
Okay.
What is it, 35?
I think
It
it's
is
only like
35, but
35.
everybody goes about 50 down that road.
For some reason, I'm thinking they suggested it probably ought to be more.
Oh, gosh.
Did it not? But we didn't want to do that by any means, so it didn't.
Can we put the thing up there that monitors the speed and check,
Yeah,
see
we
what
can get
people
that
are
from,
running through there?
We have, there's one up there, more closer to
Yeah.
Catawba, down that way, I believe. There's a.
Our traffic study should have done that, so I'll have to refer back to that data. We can do
Okay.
that.
But since we did those things several months ago, you're the first person that's come with any type of concern.
I think the only other ones, said Councilperson Manis had to complain about the mirror that had
Yeah.
failed, but.
You know, there's even discussion too, again, Roger and I were just talking the other day, maybe even closing that street right there and have them just go around to Fowler and the other way. You can do that. Well, if it's that big of a safety issue, it could always be an option though.
Yeah. I didn't know if a four-way stop. I mean, of course, you got the stop sign at Unique and Ridgeview and what's that road across the street?
Yeah.
There's that stop sign, but I know there'd be some heat off people, but I'll take the heat for it.
We'll let Roger take a look at
Okay.
it, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
I'm sorry, if I can
Okay.
just add, I'm Melinda Williams. I live on Unaka. One thing I've noticed since I've lived there for the past 3-4 years is there's already been one wreck where the car was almost in the football field. And that's just what bothers me, not as much me coming out of there, but if somebody was to wreck, and what if those kids are out there playing? And it was a bad wreck. That's my concern, more than one of us getting hit coming out of there is, you know, if there is a football game or they're practicing or whatever, and there's kids run all around that field when they're practicing, and I've sat and watched them and sat and watched other people go up that hill flying. If we could just at least get a stop sign maybe there, where when they're come up the hill approach, that they have to kind of stop or slow down or something, that would be nice. Not necessarily a whole four-way stop, but that would be really nice, because like I said, I worry about those kids that are out there.
Okay. Let Roger take a look at it and get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Thank you. What do you say?
Thanks, Jerry.
Before you go. Anyone else? This time we'll ask for any comments on the agenda items. Communications from the mayor, got a couple of board appointments to make. First of all, Clinton Utilities Board, Dr. Violet's term had ended in on July 31st of this month. Had the opportunity, I've talked about this for years, had an opportunity to bring on a developer for CUB, and I think it's critical to have that, just to have that person's perspective on the board, because a lot of complaints we get on council is from developers, and to have a developer on board, that'd be a good person to talk to, and then talk to Greg about, you know, some of the things they can do as far as being competitive and fair, you know, and be really to look at what other utilities are doing too, to be competitive with those people. So I'd like to appoint David Crowley for a 4-year term ending July 1st, 2028. Hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Also, the Clinton E911 Emergency Communications, 4-year terms. I'd like to reappoint Archie Brummett, Rick Scarborough, and Bill Riggs to a 4-year term ending July 1st, 2028. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Also on Library Board, I'd like to reappoint Vicki Underwood to a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2027. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Also, I'd like to reappoint Jason Brown to the Anderson County Tourism Council Advisory Board, term ending June 30th, 2025. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, you saying you don't want to do it? Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And I think Gwen Payne has dropped off the advisory board, the tree advisory board. Certainly appreciate her being active on that board, but I think she has some grandkids close by. She's gonna be close to, right?
Moved to Nashville.
Yeah,
yeah.
Are they moving?
Part-time. Well,
Yeah,
part-time to
part-time.
Nashville, yeah.
But I think we're one over the limit anyway, so I'm gonna hold off on that before we appoint anybody next month. If anybody out there would like to be on the tree board, please let me know. Also, I want to ask JB to talk about the July 4th events and what's going on.
We're,
Make
4th
sure-
of July, on the 4th of July. Basically promoting it from 5 to 9:30, the fireworks at 9:45. I think we got 11 food trucks or food people, ice cream, different stuff. Activities, backyard bouncers, Little Ponderosa, game truck, East Tennessee Championship Wrestling, got the axe throw, and then Jason Hammock and his sound machine will be DJing all day with the sponsors being thrown out and music, and wrestling's at 5:15, so those are the major things, and then the fireworks, like I said, are at the end at 9:45.
That's gonna be some hot wrestlers at 5:15.
Be hot wrestlers.
Mayor, just a couple of things. We had a staff meeting a couple weeks ago. Riverside Drive, the entrance to Riverside up by Lakefront Park, it will be closed up until 10 p.m. We'll let people out that way just for safety purposes. We're closing it from Riverside to Meadowbrook. Also, the police will post it sometime in the afternoon, just for safety issues. Nobody that will be allowed to stand on the new Llewellyn Bridge. So those two areas will kind of be off. You can still park down at Lakefront, just the exit entrance off of Riverside will be closed.
Okay. So what time does everything start?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Kelly, do you have a report? City School Board report, Kelly Johnson.
Just a few summer updates from Clinton City Schools. Our summer school or summer learning camps is going to end this Friday. We had approximately 170 students registered to attend that 4-week summer school, and we averaged about 125 in attendance every day. So that's been a successful program that will end on Friday. We are still registering students pre-K through 6 daily in central office, Monday through Friday. And then wanted to just let you kind of know about some capital projects that we are doing over the summer while schools are closed. We have successfully completed floor replacement in 6 classrooms at South Clinton Elementary School. And so we're just doing a few each year so that we can pay cash for them. Thanks to CUB, they did some sewage upgrades at North Clinton Elementary School for us a few weeks ago. And then many thanks to the City of Clinton for their help with our back parking lot. We are extending the parking lot across the street from Marshall, where Wiggles and Giggles was. We are extending that parking lot because we are using the existing, once that parking lot is done, we will move forward in taking the lower parking lot at Clinton Elementary School, and we are going to turn that into an all-accessible playground for our students. We have approximately 4 to 5 students that are currently in wheelchairs that we don't really have accessibility for them, adequate accessibility in the play areas. And so this will help us address that and give them a nice playground that they can play with. So we had to offset those parking spaces somewhere so our teachers and parents would have a place to park. So that is the reason for the extension there. And then we just decided that we were going to, David, you're going to be so happy about this, but we have finally started the auditorium renovation that we have had on our list to do for quite some time. And so the chairs have been removed. Those actually were the original chairs. We did save some seat bottoms for anyone who would like to have, for historical purposes, one of the seat bottoms for memory, because I know a lot of us went to elementary school there, and that auditorium is near and dear to our hearts. But it really was a safety issue for children to sit in the chairs. Many of them were broken, and the wood was starting to chip, and that's not comfortable for anybody. And so while we are doing that renovation, we are replacing the ceiling, and then obviously we'll do a paint and new sound panels, and it will have an all-new look. So that is undergoing as well this summer. That project probably will not be complete for quite some time, though, just because we got to redo the ceiling paint, and then we got to get the new chairs in. But so schools are still very, very busy, even though children are at home for the summer. So any questions for me?
Any questions for Ms. Johnson? When's the expected completion date for the playground?
Well, from what, last I talked to Roger, our holdup is going to be the asphalt for the playground. So even when we give approval for the asphalt, Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, they're like 5 or 6 months out from even being able to come. And so we have already picked out the equipment, and we're in conversation to RFP the playground equipment, but we won't be able to move on actually purchasing it until that parking lot is asphalted. And so we're probably looking at realistically spring, probably next summer installation on the playground.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should have a budget amendment, number 8 and 9, and forwarded to you in your board packets. Kelly wanted me to do a line-by-line review with you. It should take about 20 or 30 minutes. Is that okay?
Ask JB. Is that all right with JB?
JB, are we good? Well, we'll wait until later on that. Budget amendment number 8 is like Chris does at the end of the year, kind of gets all of our line items in order. A lot of little amendments up and down. For the most part, kind of trued up our revenues, have a really good idea where we're going to land. That budget amendment number 8 ended with a surplus, meaning we were going to increase our fund balance. And then I got the phone call this morning about the closing of the house next to North Clinton Elementary School that took place this year. I didn't think it was going to happen until next year. So we now have budget amendment number 9 that just addresses that house purchase as a transfer from the city schools to the city for $292,000. So that kind of comes out of this budgeted surplus that I have. So
Would you want to do both of those at the same time or two separate?
yes, you can approve them concurrently.
Do I hear approval for resolution number 8 and resolution number 9?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Quainer.
Yes.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Yes.
Councilman Gann.
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker. Councilwoman Manis.
Yes.
Mayor Burton.
Yes, resolution number 8 and resolution number 9 passes. Thanks,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Thank you. Clinton Regional Planning Commission report. You don't have anything, do you?
No, our Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals did not meet this month.
We won't do any the CEB report.
We did have Juneteenth activity at Green McAdoo, and my understanding is it went very well.
You know, I don't mean to complain, but I'm just a suggestion. It wasn't too many years ago. We got a lot of emails and just communication on these events, and I don't get any.
Our last meeting, there was a lot of discussion about what promotion was done and what was not done, and that was one of the issues that came up with that promotion was not as significant as it should be.
Well, maybe if he can just, whatever they do, just get it through Roger, and Roger can just
Well,
spin their boxes, if
It-
nothing
we-
else.
I don't think it was in the Courier, wasn't on WYSH, so there are a number of outlets that we could have put some stuff on that somehow it didn't get sent there.
It wasn't your fault, was it?
No. I'm just there.
I understand. You have, Catherine?
Good evening. I will also reach out to Adam Belk because we would love to help promote anything with Great McAdoo. They're very much a part of the historic downtown. But I just had a few things I wanted to tell you guys about. So I gave you some information. I just did a before and after of our downtown improvement grants on some of our buildings. We have a few other buildings that got some small improvements, and then we have one more that will get some scaffolding here in a couple weeks for some bigger improvements. I also gave you some information on a sample ordinance to look at. So we would like to apply for a broadband ready community grant that is used to connect community members to the internet. And what we would do with that grant is use it as a public service alert system with all of the new people who are going to be moving into the downtown area with the Darty building and other developments that are going on. It would also give us speakers that would allow us to play music in the downtown area anytime we wanted. So that's a part of that grant. So I don't need any kind of yes or no on an ordinance like that right now, but I wanted to go ahead and give you the information so that we can begin talking about that and what it looks like. But the grant is used to help, like I said, community members connect to internet, and that broadband communities are approved through the state. And I gave you a list of counties and cities that are already broadband-ready communities. So if you'll just look at that, and I'll continue to be in touch with you about that as well.
How will that be connected? I mean, is it a wireless system?
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's, you can do broadband, or you can do fibers, and then the speaker systems.
How's it
and
going to be, I mean, how's it going to be placed? Is it going to be, I mean, I guess my direct question is it going to be on telephone poles?
Yeah,
Is it gonna be
on
mounted
on the poles downtown, like the lamp posts.
What's the radius that'll give broadband?
So there's also, these are all questions as I'm working through the grant that I'm working on answering, but it would be through Market Street, because a lot of it depends on how many speakers you get and systems you get with the pricing and the funding we would get with that, so.
Have you talked to Mr. Fay about use of telephone poles? And
Not yet. I'm waiting to get the weight information on what those speakers would weigh before I take that to him. But yes, another thing that is in the works with that. Like I said, this is very early in those stages, and so I'm just trying to give you a little information early, but I don't need an answer on this ordinance until November. So I'm just.
This is going to include the Darty building?
So it's a public service alert system. So yes, essentially for anybody who lives in the downtown area, because they're adding 40 different units down there. Ken White has about 54 homes come into the area. They have other lofts and things. So, we're looking at probably 160, I think, when I did the new residential places in the downtown area that could benefit from this.
It's a lot of broadband use.
Yeah.
I think Catherine was kind of talking about the speakers, but I think the broadband range can be quite a bit larger than that, because the grant is one thing, the grant to provide broadband internet service to people that can't afford it. So it can be a larger area. The speakers will be just more downtown, but the actual broadband access could be a much larger area of the community that can't receive it, because you'll notice a lot of the counties there, a lot of the rural counties that doesn't have AT&T or Comcast. So I think it can be wider than just downtown if it's.
But it's still that general area.
So it also allows us, and I'm waiting on some pricing information, and I talked to Kelly about this, but it also allows us to purchase hotspots that we could essentially give to Clinton City Schools, and then any kid who doesn't have internet at home can rent them from the schools and take them home as a hotspot to use them as well. So
Was this a 100% grant?
Yep. It's a non-competitive 100% grant. There's no match. But we just need, I honestly just needed to talk about it at this meeting to give you the information.
Just keep in mind too, I think this brings in a lot of good things for downtown area, but you mentioned a couple of times, like to alert people and things like that. We do provide a reverse 911.
Yes.
So we do provide that service, people take advantage of it, just more of just a reminder.
Yes, yes.
But I
Well,
think
and-
other things are
and
very beneficial.
Some
too.
of it is adding life to downtown. If there's music playing and people are happier, they're more likely to buy things and shop and, so that's a little part of it as well. But again, if you continue to have questions about that, please let me know. I'm happy to answer those. We are bringing Tasty Tuesdays back. They'll be on Thursdays instead. We're going to do a 4-week stint. We're not going to do the Fair Week. But Hammocks reached out to us. That was something that they wanted to get the ball rolling as they're starting to think about opening. And so that's going to start on July 11th. And it will be on Eagle Bend at the Hammocks new location. And then we'll have some food trucks that join them as well. We have Sip of Summerfest coming up on August 9th. That will be at the Kincaid House. And then I do have one thing that I need approval on. So we would also like to apply on the behalf of the city for the Tourism Enhancement Grant. This is a $100,000 grant, and what we would like to use the funds for is to help with the new parking lot, to pay for the paving expenses, possibly make it a more historical site and do brick pavers in areas instead of just pavement. Again, depending on what all the funds that we receive look like. But that location was the home of Zen Hicks, who was a former mayor of Clinton. He, in 1914, he was also a Tennessee state senator and a Sixth Circuit federal judge appointed by Calvin Coolidge, which we think is pretty neat. Sam George saved the columns from his house when they burnt down and has given those to us to be able to use however we would like. So we would like to create a historical entrance to that parking lot using the columns that Sam saved so graciously. And so that would be another thing that we would use with the funds from the Tourism Enhancement Grant. So again, another great way for us to partner with the city and hopefully save you some money and be able to make that not just a parking lot, but a historical site. We would also like to apply to the state of Tennessee for a historical marker there. And maybe do some elm trees because that was something that Zen Hicks loved. He called it his judicial forest when he had original elm trees on that site. So I do need a motion on that. The grant comes out in the end of July and we could apply in August.
So what's the motion consist of?
For us to apply for the Tourism Enhancement Grant for to pay for the paving of the parking lot and make that
I
historical.
think the grant, since it's our property, and we got another one of these coming up in a minute, but since it's city property, the grant would actually be in the city's name. And once again, it's 100% funded grant. And as I talked to several of y'all individual about the project, I think everybody's concerned and just want us to go up there and throw asphalt down. Want to make, somewhat look less like a parking lot, a little more like a park, but still have the parking. Public Works is doing the excavating work now. They'll go put underground conduit in so we can put some decorative lighting, that type of stuff. So most of that stuff we'll do in-house, but the grant has potential to pay for the actual fixtures and possibly even some of the asphalt pavers. There's possibility we may have to put a retention pond on the site, so we talked about some other means of getting surface water off and having to do a retention pond with some pavers in some areas. So there's several things that we've looked at that this grant could cover.
I'm basically asking for me to do all the work and.
We already assumed that.
Yeah, I know.
You hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a
Second.
motion, second, third, and fourth. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
General Government Report, Mr. Hauk.
Thank you, Mayor. The Anderson County Fair Association has an opportunity to partner with the Tennessee Department of Health for a construction of a new barn at the J.C. Park Fairground. This barn will be utilized by the Tennessee Department of Health to store equipment and to conduct on-site drive-through points during a health emergency. The Fair Association will have the use of the building at all other times when not in use. As the City of Clinton owns the property, we are required to approve the project. I request authorization to approve the project and execute a memorandum of understanding between the Tennessee Department of Health, the city, and the Anderson County Fair Association.
Hear a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion.
Where's it going to be located?
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. It's actually tearing down the old barn that's been there forever.
Okay.
And from what I understand, talking with the Fair Association president, this could be up to $1 million, 100% funded grant to improve that. And that barn's pretty old and pretty,
Yeah, the old barn's falling down. We've done some repairs in the last couple of years to keep it up, but it's going to eventually have to come down.
Any further discussion? I think maybe David and I just need to disclose we are part of the.
Yeah, I'm part of the Fair
Association,
Board,
But I'm
yeah.
still more than comfortable voting on this, but just wanted to.
that's all you have to do is close it.
Yeah, I'm part of the Fair Board too.
So, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Miriam. As required by FEMA, the Anderson County Basic Emergency Operation Plan has been revised and updated to meet current requirements. This plan becomes effective in a countywide emergency or disaster. The plan provides for various operational guidelines for each municipality, county departments, and emergency services. Based on the previous practice of the council, I will request approval of the plan with authorization to execute the required documents.
Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? And Roger, this is something they have to do every
I think every 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, and we've done it. Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance, I'll defer to Chris.
All right, thank you, Roger. I'll start with the monthly finance report. We are 11 out of 12 months into the fiscal year. We have received about 98% of our revenue, so we're doing well there. This report actually does not reflect the local option that came in that I just got the information today on. I'll give you that individually, so we're probably at 100% of our projected revenue. We're at 117% of our expenditures. However, the bulk of that is capital outlay, which we'll address here in a moment. We've done it once already this year, but I'll have a budget amendment for you that shows the rest of the capital spending we've done this year. So the unassigned fund balance stands at $8.8 million today. I'll go over, do you have any questions on the monthly report? Okay. I'll touch on the local option sales tax report. This month we received, or for the month of May, we received $456,000, which is actually down 1.05% from the same period last year. But overall for the fiscal year, we're up 5.5% through the same time period, fiscal year 22-23. So we're still doing well there. I'll have a budget amendment for you. I'm not sure in what order we have this stuff. I can go over
You
it
can go ahead and do
now.
the budget amendment number 3?
I'll
That'd be fine.
Okay, I'll address that. The total budget amendment is $1,589,819. Of that, the bulk of it, like I said, is capital outlay. So $1,013,806 of that is capital outlay, filling in the commitments that have come through council this year. $391,000 is operating costs increase, and $80,000 of that is increase for health and benefits. There are some decreases too in health and benefits, just lining up codes. Employee salaries up $104,000 over original budget, and mainly for temporary salaries and overtime. And actually the temporary salaries come from the regular salaries in a few departments, so it's not actually an appropriation, it's just more of a transfer. And you'll see that in what we're decreasing. We're decreasing some expenditures of 45,000, showing an increase of revenues, which is revenues over what we originally projected of 400,000, which is good. Interest earnings is the biggest piece of that. We're in a good position that we don't have to borrow money, and we have money in the bank. So we're doing well with the interest rates where they are in our position at the moment. And then paying for the capital, I'm decreasing the capital project assignments, so that's not coming from fund balance, the $1,013,000 I mentioned. And then overall, 131,000 is being requested from unassigned fund balance to balance the rest of it out. So I'll submit that for your approval.
You hear a motion for approval of budget amendment number 3.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Quainer?
Yes.
Councilman McBride? Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker? Councilwoman Manis?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Budget amendment number 3 passes.
All right, thank you. And then next month, I'll have a final, it's amending the ordinance to basically give you an overall of what we did in budget amendments 1, 2, and 3, and amend our ordinance as required by the state, so.
Any questions for Chris?
Chris, was it last month we had some letters from the comptroller that questions the way we did some things? All those were resolved, correct?
Yes,
And
they
we
were. They were
right.
actually resolved at the time of our meeting.
Okay.
Originally, we were sent some letters that said they didn't agree with the way, and it was actually on CUB's water and sewer pension plan. And they didn't agree with our valuation, which when I say we, it's over my head, it's actually our actuarial folks that do that. The state comptroller sent us letters and said, we don't agree with how you went about reporting this. And then a couple of weeks after that, came out with a letter and said, we apologize, we actually do, we read something incorrectly, you're doing it the right way. But those letters we have to present to city council every month, so you've got a copy of the letters where they didn't agree with how we did it, and a copy of the letters where they said, no, that was actually fine.
Thank you.
So, yes, sir.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Police Department, in accordance with the funding allocated in the capital outlay plan, we need to proceed with the purchase of 2 vehicles for the police department. We would therefore request authorization to proceed with the following purchase: 2 new 2024 model Dodge Police Patrol Package vehicles and the associated vehicle equipment packages with installation at a total cost of $126,000. The vehicles will be purchased from the Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Columbia on state contracting price, and most of the equipment will be purchased at on-duty depot.
Hear a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Roger, where are we on this now? Are we still behind a little bit, or are we about?
Well, no, yes and no. We got 6 last year. We just took possession of them. Well, we had the detective ones. The patrol ones, it's just taking forever to get these. We got a couple of them put, 2 of them, 3 of them.
They're all 4, all 6 of them are in service.
So they're all 6 in service now, and that's just been here in the last 6 weeks. Of course, we had 2 that got totaled during car accidents that were not to our fault. One of them, our patrol officer was actually sitting still at a red light, and there was a wreck in front of him, and both vehicles ricocheted into him, so we had to total that one out. And then we had another one also. So this kind of replaces those 2, which we did get some insurance money on them too. But this keeps us in pretty good shape. So this will be, if we can get these pretty quick, this will be 8 we've took possession of in the last 12 to 14 months, I think. And that's the thing, we just don't want to get behind like we did 10, 12 years ago.
Yes, so
Yeah.
we're pretty much close to capacity of what we need.
I think so, yeah.
I saw the new ones, a couple of the new ones out, and it looks sharp.
They are
I had to look
good
at it twice because it's
good
a new model for
Yeah,
us,
they're
and
good
it
looking
looks
vehicles.
good. Looks good. I did have one question. It's the 126. That's 63 apiece. Is it just a bigger car? It seems like the price per car. I mean, there were the Dodges before, weren't as much as this. Is this?
I think a lot of it's just inflation of the vehicles and the equipment. Equipment is probably a good chunk of it.
Is it?
To put everything
Well,
on.
it's a much bigger car, but
Yeah.
I think those Dodges just weren't really big enough to transport anybody.
Well, and I know
Unless
we
they
don't
lay
have a
down the
lot of
back
snow
seat.
around here. Most of the SUVs are either all-wheel drive or four-wheel, so
Yeah.
that helps us out
Yeah.
a little bit.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of that, but
Yeah. I was just wondering, it seemed like it was a little bit more than usual, so. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
that's all I have, Mayor.
You have, you had the Public Works.
Public Works say?
We'll move that off to next week. He didn't get all the bids in, so we'll push that out to next month.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Roger?
Roger, a couple. Chris mentioned a real healthy fund balance, but when I look at this, can you go over this capital plan? Because it looks like maybe $11 million over
Which
a
that's-
3-year period if we do
Yeah,
everything,
and
right?
that's a 3-year guide. It's really not a budget. It's just a capital outlay plan. It's things that we know we need to do at some point. Some of those will get pushed out from 3 years to 4 or 5 years, but it's just something each department, use the term of a wish list is probably not a good term, but it can be kind of a wish list. But some of them, that we've all talked about, like the community center renovations. We know we're going to be doing some at the National Guard Armory. Some equipment for all the departments. Once again, we try to put vehicles in there for the police department every year. Fire department, we'll go Station 3, which will be located at I-75 Industrial Park. The county got and I'll get this, $2.9 million grant to partner with us on a county EOC fire hall. It'll be a combined building on the property that we already own. The county's, like I said, they got like 2.9. I think they will put in about $1 million. We'll probably have to put in about 400,000. It'll be a very nice facility, and as we've all said, as our growth continues going that way, we will have to expand both police and fire. So it's just a lot of those things, and so it's really a good guide to go by.
Okay. One other question, you and I have already talked about it, but for the audience, I had some questions about the new fence up at the park. Can you kind of go over that with the?
That was something which kind of give a little history of it. Back in the mid-30s, the Anderson County Farmers Co-op, I think is what it was called then. I may have got that name wrong. Actually owned the J.C. Park property. Fair and Stock Association. I knew it was something like that. Historian got it. Gave the property to the city of Clinton with a few stipulations. One stipulation is they get to use it each year for the fair. They actually get it for about 3 to 4 weeks. A couple of weeks prior, the week of the fair, and after, for the use of the Anderson County Fair. And it's been in existence for almost 100 years now, that approval. So they have certain security issues they have to look at. Of course, we renovated that end of the park in 2016-17, redid the ball fields, actually did a lot of improvements. Once again, we did most of it in-house. At some point, and I think it was a few years after that, there was an L-shaped fence there at the tennis court going down to girls softball. It's a baseball field now. Well, that got taken down and some rocks put up to try to keep it, but it was still a security issue for the fair, the weeks they had it, for entrances. They were having to rent fence and put temporary fence up. So the fair president talked to me several months ago about needing to put something back up. We looked at a couple locations. We'll actually put it back up in almost the identical same location that it came down a few years ago. The only difference is, and then once again, this thing only got put up 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 at the most, 3 I think. It has 2 gates on it, and we just left them on it. Well, typically before, we would take those gates off and where it would just be open until the week before the fair. Then the recreation department would install those gates so they can shut them. When the fair's over, we take them back off and store them. And that just kind of leaves the area open. So that's really the only major difference. When we first got a few complaints, I went up there to look to make sure, one, that they put it where we talked about putting it, and they did. And that other fence, came to work in 1987 with the city, and that other fence had been there since then, probably several years before that. And I really do, just in my personal opinion, do not see where it definitely does not block anybody's view.
Gotcha.
From
Okay.
watching the games.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Roger. Under ordinances and resolutions, second final reading of ordinances, ordinance number 690.
Mayor, let me back up. We talked about something. Let's do resolution 838 first.
Okay.
Because that'll automatically amend our budget.
Okay. Under resolutions, resolution number 838, fiscal year 2025 nonprofit organizations appropriations. Hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion?
And Mayor, what it is, we realized earlier today after we had posted this, and this is our donations to the nonprofits in the county, that last year that a motion was made by Councilman McBride to change the Anderson County Office of the Aging from a 2,000 to a 4,000, and we budgeted $2. So what I'd like to make a recommendation is that we go back and honor council's wishes from last year and change that to a $4,000 donation to the Anderson County Office of Aging.
So we need a motion to amend the budget to reflect that?
Amend the resolution.
Yeah, amendment to amend the resolution
Yes.
from 2,000 to 4,000.
I'll make that motion
And that is going to be annually.
annually.
Yes.
Yes.
Have a motion on the floor?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the amendment, say yes.
Yes.
Oppose? Amendment passes.
Now go to.
Now we'll go to the regular motion. And again, we've already got a first and a second. Any further discussion on the original motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Now we'll go back up to the ordinance. Ordinance number 690, this is for the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. Here, a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Did we get worked out with Main Street on the committee stuff and all that? Did we get all
Yes.
that, did we get all that worked
Yeah.
out?
Only thing we didn't talk about a lot, and I don't know if it's different between the 501(c) and it's really a separate entity, but the meeting, I think we talked about it a little bit. I think there's a preference from council in general, where they have it here either at the community center. That's Carl.
Time to
Community
leave.
center or city, or city, or here,
He's sending a hint.
or here at City Hall. Do you have, I can't remember, did we talk that much about that last week?
You didn't mention it.
Yeah.
I think we could, and it's something, and I met with the mayor and Catherine too, and it was some things, it was too late in the budget to really change for tonight's meeting, but it's something that we said over the next 2 or 3 months that we would work on some changes on appointments and council's giving a confirmation to or affirmative vote to those appointments. And I think it's something else that we could talk about. I mean, they could either meet here, they could meet at the community center, either one, there's space at either place they could utilize.
Well, it's just, can we leave it just that you'll have further discussions with Catherine?
That's fine
and
with me.
Historic
I'm good with
Downtown? Yeah. I just think I think you could have executive meetings, and I think people, those type of entities do that. But I think it'd be good to have some public places to have a meeting, just to give everyone an opportunity to attend. And not at 12 o'clock. Usually, if it's going to be a meeting, I think it needs to be after 5 personally, so everybody has the opportunity to come if they like to. So, thank you for bringing that up, David. Any further discussion? So when we vote on this budget, we have 2 more before we're debt-free? We have 2 more budgets to go through?
Yes.
2026.
Yeah, 2 years from right now, we'll be debt-free. March of 2026 will be debt-free.
So actually, one more past budget will include the last debt payment. This time next year, you'll be voting on a budget that will include the last
Yes.
debt payment unless you enter into new debt.
Yeah, so really just one more.
Great, fantastic. All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Quainer.
Yes.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Yes.
Councilman Gann.
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker. Councilwoman Manis.
Yes.
Mayor Burton.
Yes, ordinance number 690 passes on second and final reading. Resolution number 839, this is the CUB debt refunding. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? You like to?
Chris, you want to do it, or you mean?
Yeah, I'll give you some highlights. What it is they have a debt issuance that was going to go up to over 5% in interest rate. They had the option to exercise a refunding for it, and so they went out to bid and got that, and they got five bids for it, and they chose the lowest, obviously. So they're going to renew their debt. They're not increasing the amount. They're actually decreasing the length of term, which is good, and they're dropping down to under 4%, it'll be 3.8 something percent. So it was kind of a no-brainer for them to refund this debt. It doesn't extend the terms, it lowers their interest rate. So they, it'll be probably 5 weeks and it'll be closed. They'll actually go out to bid. They'll get a rating from one of the big rating agencies, I think Moody's in this case. And then they'll go to bond market and they'll sell bonds for this debt and close hopefully around August the 8th, I think.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Quainer.
Yes.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Yes.
Councilman Gann.
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker. Councilwoman Manis.
Yes.
Mayor Burton.
Yes. Resolution number 839 passes on first and final reading. Any old business before us? Any new business? I do want to thank Larry for stepping in for me last month, the last minute. I think I kept on hearing all these positive remarks. I don't know if they wanted me to come back or not. But I do want to thank you for doing that.
quicker.
And also, go Vols. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Means adjourn.
JB, we need to talk to you real quick.
Yeah, JB.